Let's talk about innovation. It's that skill everyone wants, every company is looking for, but it's just so hard to pin down. Like, how do you actually measure it? Well, today we're going to turn that buzzword into something you can actually use. Let's dive in and build a clear framework for it.
I mean, this is the big question, right? A good idea isn't just a random flash of brilliance. It's about making an impact, about actually doing something, and about how big that something is. So how do we get from this kind of vague concept to a real concrete way to assess it?
And that right there, that's the core of the problem. We all say innovation is crucial for growth, for staying ahead. But if we don't have a shared language to talk about it and evaluate it, we're basically just flying blind. So this explainer, it's designed to give you that exact language, a way to finally define and measure innovation.
Okay, so before we can build a framework to measure innovation, we've got to get on the same page about what it even is. So let's start there and build a really solid foundation. I really love this visual because it just captures the whole thing perfectly. See, innovation isn't just about the light bulb moment. It's about looking at the gears, understanding how things currently work, and then figuring out how to rearrange them to build something way, way better.
And here's the more formal definition we're going to work with. The two phrases to really lock onto here are enhance performance and implementation. And this is so important. An idea, no matter how amazing, isn't really innovative until it's put into action and actually, measurably, makes things better.
So we can really boil that definition down into these three pillars. It all starts with questioning the way things are done. Then it moves to actually implementing a new solution. And crucially, it has to end by driving a real, measurable improvement. These three things are the building blocks for the whole framework we're about to get into.
So, how do we take those three pillars and turn them into a tool we can actually use? Well, we use this, a 5-level framework. Think of it like a roadmap. It shows you how innovation grows from just a simple question all the way to a huge sector-wide impact. And here's the whole roadmap at a glance. See how it progresses? It starts small, right? Just questioning things. Then it gets bigger, impacting your role, then your whole organization, then the entire industry, and finally, it's about empowering everyone else to do the same. So let's break down each of these levels one by one.
First up, level 1. This is the absolute foundation of all innovation. It's that starting point where you just stop accepting, well, that's how we've always done it, as a good enough answer.
At this level, you're the person asking why. You're looking at old processes, and you're not just complaining about them. You're actually analyzing what's wrong, you're bringing in different viewpoints, and you're pointing out clear, specific opportunities for how to make things better.
All right, let's climb up to level 2. Because it's not enough to just question things, right? Now it's about actually doing something about it, specifically within your own little world.
The key word for level 2 is implementation. An innovator here doesn't just spot a problem. They actively build a bridge to the solution. They might see a cool idea or a tool from a totally different industry and say, hey, I can adapt that for my own work. And then they actually do it to make their own job more efficient.
Now, at level 3, the impact starts to get a lot bigger. We're moving beyond just our individual role, and we're starting to influence the entire organization. This is where you start breaking down those organizational silos. A level 3 innovator is someone who champions a new idea. They might find an awesome system being used somewhere else and lead the charge to bring it into their company. The key thing here is that the idea isn't new to the world, but it is brand new and game-changing for your organization.
Okay, now we're taking a giant leap forward. Level 4 is all about being a pioneer. It's about creating the brand new practices that other people are going to end up copying down the line.
This is true trailblazing innovation. We are talking about charting a completely new map, not just following an old one. It's about launching something that has never, ever been done before in your entire industry, taking smart risks and setting a whole new standard that everybody else will have to follow.
And finally, we've reached the summit, level 5. This is where the focus totally shifts from being an innovator to being a force multiplier, someone who helps everyone else innovate.
At this highest level, you've gone from planting a single seed to basically cultivating an entire greenhouse for new ideas. You're the leader who champions other people's ideas, who knocks down barriers, and who builds a culture where innovation can just flourish everywhere, all the time.
Okay, so this framework is great in theory, but what does it actually sound like in, say, a performance review or a job interview? Let's look at a few real-world examples to really bring these levels to life.
Here's a perfect example of level 1 and 2 working together. This person first challenged the status quo, that's level 1, by noticing the process was inefficient. Then, they took action, that's level 2, by putting a new approach in place for their role. And look at the result, a clear, measurable impact. A 40% reduction in response time. That is innovation in action.
Now, this is a fantastic example of level 3. See, the framework wasn't invented from scratch. It was borrowed from somewhere else. The real innovation here was bringing that established outside practice into their organization for the very first time, breaking down boundaries and driving a huge improvement.
And this is the pinnacle. This is level 5. This person didn't just have one good idea. They built an entire system to help other people generate countless new ideas. They became a catalyst. They created an environment where innovation isn't just a special event, it's the normal everyday standard.
So, what are the big things to remember from all this? First, innovation is way more than just a creative spark. It needs action and it needs impact. Second, you can actually measure it by looking at the scope of that impact. Does it affect your job, your company, or your whole industry? And finally, the absolute highest form of innovation is leadership that empowers everyone else to be innovative too.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this question. Think about your own work using this framework. Where are you right now on this ladder? And maybe more importantly, what's the next step you're going to take to level up your own innovative impact?
Hi everyone. Today we're talking about a skill that can truly set you apart in any interview, innovation competency. It's all about how you bring new ideas to the table, challenge old ways of doing things, and turn creative thinking into real results. When an interviewer asks a question about innovation, they're not just asking if you're creative. They want to know if you can apply creativity to solve real problems. Innovation isn't just dreaming big. It's about making meaningful improvements that drive performance and help organizations grow. There are 5 levels of innovation competency. At level 1, it starts with challenging the status quo, asking questions, spotting inefficiencies, and suggesting better ways to get things done. Level 2 is about taking action, adapting ideas from other areas, and putting them into practice. At level 3, you start doing things new, breaking silos, sharing knowledge, and introducing practices that are fresh to your organization. Level 4 is where you do things new to the sector, leading initiatives that haven't been tried before, taking smart risks, and setting a standard for others. And at the highest level, level 5, you encourage innovation in others, creating an environment where creativity thrives and people feel safe to explore new ideas. To ace an interview question on innovation, use the STAR method. Describe the situation, task, action, and result. For example, I realized our customer feedback process was slow, so I brought together different departments to redesign it. Our response time dropped by 40% and client satisfaction went up. That's innovation, seeing a problem, acting on it, and showing measurable results. So next time you're asked about innovation, focus on how you challenge, adapt, and inspire. Show that you don't just think differently, you make a difference. Thanks for watching and tune in next time for more interview tips right here on Ace the Job Interview. Keep learning, stay curious, and never stop innovating.